To Clutch a Razor was just as good as the one that came right before it, When Among Crows. When Among Crows was Veronica Roth's urban fantasy novella that came out earlier last year. The one that was based on Polish folklore and mythology, but took place mostly in Chicago. But with those Polish folklore-inspired creatures as some of the main characters. To Clutch a Razor feels almost like a direct continuation of When Among Crows. Same characters, starts in the same place as the last one left off. The storytelling style is so consistent between the two books. So many of the things that happened in the first one that just go right on into the second one. And time-wise from the first one, it's only like a few weeks, I think, or very short. Less than a year at least. It's been less time in story than it's been for us waiting for the next book, which by the way is beautiful. I love this artist. I follow her on Instagram. I think she does fantastic work. But in the first one, if you remember, which I didn't very well, it took me a little while to get back in my head what had happened. The main character, Demeter, is a knight in the Holy Order that hunts down and kills monsters. So those Polish folklore inspired creatures who are just trying to live their best life in the normal world are constantly being hunted by the Holy Order, which Demeter is part of, but Demeter didn't want to keep doing it. And the characters that he met along his way on his journey in this one are still in this one and go on with him in his journey here. So he's had his run-in with Baba Yaga, the powerful witch who has affected kind of the very fabric of his life, and he's trying to make a deal with her, and the deal that she makes with him, he doesn't want to have to do. The deal is a little heavy for him to want to fulfill. So his friend from the first book, Ayla, convinces him that maybe he could bring something else to the table to offer Baba Yaga to get what he wants that doesn't require the thing she asked him to do. And it's such a short book, I feel like things even at the beginning will feel like spoilers. So I'm going to try to give as little details as possible, except to say, because I think it's part of the fun of this book as opposed to the first one, is that they actually go to Poland. They go back to where Demeter is from. We meet more of his family members. We see more of how the Holy Order runs and how people who've been in the Holy Order for a long time really feel about the non-human creatures that live amongst them. The other main character from the first book, Nico, is a main character here. Without being too spoilery, the tension that started between him and Demeter in the first one continues. That's all I'll say. But I feel like a lot of the things that I had to say about Veronica Roth's writing in When Among Crows are just the same things I would say here. Her understanding of the pacing for a book this length is very good. It never started to drag. It never felt like things were rushed. The pacing just felt correct the whole time. It was interesting. I don't know that I've ever read another book besides these that use third-person present tense. Normally, I see third-person past tense. This character did this. Or first-person present tense. I do this. Or even I am doing this. And that's a lot more seen in young adult. It took me a few pages to get used to third-person present. Baba Yaga does this rather than did this. It does make it feel... Whereas first-person present tense, you really feel like you're more in the character's mind. The third-person present tense feels more like you were just there. Instead of being told the story that happened, you're just experiencing it as it happens, which I think worked really well for the length of book that it is. And again, like in the first one, I could tell that Veronica Roth had done her research on the history of the culture that she was pulling from. And some of the narrative commentary, or even just like some characters thinking some things, felt very much like this author understands what it's like to go through really heavy family situations where family members might say they love you but don't necessarily act like they do. That comes in here a lot. There's a lot of that found family feel. So in the first one, Demeter finds the family that is his found family. And then in this one, they have to have their adventure together and stick together. And it's like reinforced that his found family are the ones who are showing that they really actually care about him. And if they do something wrong, they apologize, which Demeter isn't always used to. So because of the type of story this is, it does feel, or it did feel in places to me, a little on the dark, creepy side. So if you buy this right away to support the author, it could be actually a good October read if you like to match your book mood to the time of year. Coming up on Halloween, it only took me a week to read it. I know there's people who read both faster than me or slower than me, but having monsters that are being hunted, there's a character who is a type of spirit who needs to possess somebody. And so to get from here to there, they have to possess a physical person to get there. And that's like where stories of demon possession come from in the world. That was kind of creepy. And then the manner in which the Holy Order works is just kind of bloody and gross. So expect to have some of that in there. I don't know that I would call it a cozy fall read. But I also don't like dark, bloody books very much, so someone else reading it might wonder what I'm talking about because they think it's not that bad. So depends on what you normally read, I think. Also, like the first one, there's a lot of sensory description. And I noticed that Roth likes to give that sensory description in groups of threes. So like, this looks like this, and that sounds like this, and this smells like this. So she really puts you in the scene and lets you know what the character is experiencing while the character is there. Just lots of little things, like a character thinks about how they hate how a certain type of clothing feels, or it's always like this thing, just like it was when they were a kid, or just like little things that a person would actually think in a moment that don't necessarily have to do with what they're doing, but they connected back to some memory. I feel like that is a very real thing for people to do, and her characters do that. It probably helps before going into here to look up some Polish pronunciation. There's a few words in there where I'm just like, I don't know how to pronounce a word with that many consonants all in a row. Overall, I think it was a really good continuation of the first book, and at the end sets up really nicely for a third book. So I don't know if this is going to be a continuing series that just like, when Roth feels like writing one, she goes and writes a novella set in this world, or if it's going to be a trilogy and done. But the story arc from this one wraps up, feels really good as an end, but then sets up, we know exactly what the main characters are going to be doing in the next book. And time-wise, this one came out only a little over a year after the first one, so I don't think we'll have to wait that long for a third one, which will be nice, because I would like to see what these characters go and do after this. To Clutch a Razor comes out on September 16th this year, 2025. In the video description, I will link the book, this artist, the author's website. I will also link my Instagram and my Patreon. Thank you, patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot. And happy reading. Bye.